We are going to discuss the materials you have for your poster you need to make in STEM. So you have a poster board, and then you have a baggie of materials. If you are the rainforest group, your baggie would look like this. And then if you are the Arctic group, your baggie of materials would look like this. Let's start with the Arctic group. You have inside your Arctic bag a traveler. So this little guy is your traveler. Your first job is you need to cut out your traveler. Try to cut around him as much as you can. You don't have to get in between his fingers, but cut around him. And we need to prepare your traveler for your environment. So if you are going to the Arctic, we need to think about the things you need to survive in the Arctic. What adaptations did your animals have there? Well, in the Arctic, remember that they needed to camouflage. And the way they camouflaged was wearing what color? They were wearing white. So you have lots of white cotton balls maybe you want to use for to help you blend in with your environment. Also remember that to protect themselves, like the Arctic fox, you need to have a thick coat. So maybe you want to use these to give your traveler a thick coat, and you could glue these down. You may have glue at home. We also gave you a little bit of glue in a container inside your bag of materials. Okay, we talked about how they could camouflage, how they could protect themselves in the Arctic. How does your character move in the Arctic? Well, we have to think back to what we learned, and you have some other tools that you can use to help you with how your traveler moves. We have some white pipe cleaners for the Arctic. We have a coffee filter that's white, and you can use that for the Arctic. And then the last thing we need to think about is, how does your traveler get food in the Arctic? So we want to think about what type of food there is to eat there, and what do polar bears, for example, eat. And so you do have one brown pipe cleaner that maybe we could use maybe as like a fishing pole, okay? So again, your first step is to cut out your traveler, and then you need to prepare your traveler for the Arctic environment. The next group, you had the rainforest. So again, first step for you is your traveler. You need to cut them out. Then you need to think, how can you make your traveler be camouflaged in the rainforest? Well, what color do we see a lot in the rainforest? We see a lot of green. So we gave you some green items. There's some green fabric. There are some green feathers. We even gave you some glue. Then we need to think about, how can you protect yourself in this environment? Well, think back to that poison dart frog. How did they protect themselves? Well, they had poison on their body. They had bright colors to warn people to stay away. So maybe you want to add some colorful pom-poms to your traveler to make it say, please stay away. You also need to think about how your traveler will move in the rainforest. So think back to maybe the toucan. And then we also need to think about how your traveler is going to eat. So we need to think of some things that they could eat in the rainforest. Some other tools you have in your bag that you might want to use, there are a couple pipe cleaners, more different colors of feathers, and we have some different colored pom-poms still. Okay? Remember, your first job is to cut out your traveler and then make sure it has each of those 4 different ways to help your traveler survive in the rainforest. That's part 1. Part 2 is you have a poster. And on this poster, you're going to draw the environment that your traveler lives in. So your first step, though, is to write what's your environment. So if your environment's the Arctic, you would write Arctic at the top of your poster. And I have this going the long way, so this is the long side and the short side's over here. If you are the rainforest, you can go ahead and you'll write Amazon rainforest. And then underline that. Okay, let's talk about the Arctic for a second. Things you'll have in the Arctic. Remember that in the Arctic there are lots of snow. So you shouldn't be using any colors in the Arctic. It's mostly snow, and we know snow is what color? White. But there's lots of hills in the Arctic, so maybe you want to draw some hills. The other thing you could add in the Arctic is some water. So you could color this blue, and then think about what animals live in the water, okay? Then make sure you include a picture of the polar bear and the Arctic fox, then any other animals we've discussed. Let's discuss the rainforest. Let's think about what the rainforest is. Well, there's going to be lots of tall trees. So maybe you want to draw trees in the rainforest. Maybe you want to draw some rain because it does rain in the rainforest. So you'd color the rain blue. We'd color the trees brown with some green on them. You also want to make sure that you add in your 2 animals. So you need to make sure you have the poison dart frog in the Amazon rainforest. You also need to make sure you have the toucan. You can also add any other animals that we have discussed to your poster. The final step is that when your traveler is ready and your poster is ready, you glue your traveler into your poster. And then we'll be able to see your traveler in your poster and how they are able to survive with all of those great adaptations you gave him or her to camouflage, to protect, to get food, and to move. Have fun with this project. Take your time. I'm super excited to see what you come up with.